What's up, YouTube? We're back again this week for another week's episode of Three Simple Men Making Their Way Through the Galaxy. It's Tom, Ryan, and Mike. And if you followed last week's episode, you know we took a break from the Clone Wars. So we're diving into the Acolyte, and we're at part 2. And I love a Wookiee Jedi. I just love the idea of a Wookiee Jedi.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've seen a fully fledged, and I know we'll probably see it later on in the Clone Wars. Spoiler alert, but yeah, pretty cool to see a Wookiee Jedi in play.
Yep. First one in canon and first Wookiee now in canon. First appearance of a Wookiee, or in canon, in chronological order. It's our first Wookiee. And interestingly enough, this Wookiee, who, I mean, we don't see it till the end of the episode, but he is played by Jonas Sotamo, who took over the role of Chewbacca when Peter Mayhew was having his knee issues. They split the role for Force Awakens, and then unfortunately Peter Mayhew passed away in 2019. But it's kind of funny that, you know, they got the same guy playing the Wookiee because he does a good job at it. He's very tall. I think he's like 7 foot probably. But it's cool to see that they got, you know, somebody who's already kind of a part of the Star Wars family and stuff to come in and play this role too. So I thought that was enjoyable. And yeah, I mean, the episode, just to jump to the end, the episode ends with the reveal of Kanaka, the Jedi Wookiee. And what an awesome end. Like, I loved it. I know, Tom, this is your first time seeing it, but when I saw it the first time, I was just like, exactly what you said. I was like, oh my goodness, we got a Wookiee Jedi live action. This is awesome.
I was like, I like the whole scenery thing. It's giving me like two people trying to look for Sasquatch vibes in the forest, or Bigfoot, you know?
Yeah, the two scavengers speaking Huttese.
Yeah, Huttese.
Interesting, yeah.
All right, so going back about this episode, I think overall reaction, I'm like, I think there's an underlying theme of it. It's pretty much just like the idea of letting go of the past, because we're seeing Master Soul. He acknowledges the mistakes that were made. He's lived with it. He's accepted it, but he's moved on from it. While on the other hand, we have Master Torben. First of all, dude's floating in there, force barrier, like nothing's getting through him. And then next thing you know, you just play the victim card of, if you want to make things right, you know, just take the poison.
Yeah, and I mean, it was the they mentioned that he had taken the Barash vow, and he was like that for, what they say, about 16 years or 12 years, something in that range.
I think they said over 10, but we did learn that whatever happened on Brendock was 16 years ago. So clearly there's more to the story than what we realize.
Yeah, for some reason he decided that he needed to put himself in a force field.
Is there like a samurai version of like taking a vow of silence or something? I'm just trying to think, like, is there like
the monks, and I think somebody refers to him as a monk. I'll probably pronounce it wrong, but Kimir, or the drunk poison maker we get introduced to. I don't really know what his deal is. He's like friends with May or working with May, and it's kind of a character, which is fun.
I think he's the worm that's just trying to survive. I think he's one of those. He's one of those, like, he's working. Well, one, he's working for money. Two, he's working for.
Did you see that? Did you just get that? Did you see that, Mike?
Yeah, I just saw a thumbs up. Like,
oh yeah, Tom, did you see that? For some reason, you just did something, and it just, like, a bubble popped up in front of your face with a thumbs up in it. That was weird. Anyway, continue.
Just the three of us. Don't worry, we don't have a eavesdropper in the conversation, so.
Plus, that's my FBI agent watching. He's like, "Hey, keep up the good work, guys."
I don't know how you did that. That was weird. It just like happened. We've been introduced to Chimere, who's a drunk poison maker assistant to May, who, they're both seems like they're both a little afraid of their master. They refer to him. And then we get the fun, but the reason I had brought him up was he does refer, I believe, to Torben as a monk, which is interesting because then it makes monks a thing in the Star Wars universe, right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
'cause I think it was just like, I mean, there obviously with the whole force field, May tried anything and everything. She couldn't penetrate it, and that led to Chimera saying that everyone has a weakness and giving hints that he's got something to hide, and you got to give him what he wants, and it's like absolution, like give him a path. And again, it's either confess or take this poison, which will kill you, and you know, and then the truth dies with you. So unfortunately for Torben, and again, no one's talked to him in like 10 or 16 years, whatever it is. Clearly there's something he took to the grave, and Soul thought, he could be the one guy who could talk to him, given that he was stationed on Brendock. And we do learn through Chimere, and I think this came up during the Jedi interrogation of Chimere, that May is targeting 4 Jedi. So we know it was Indara, Torben, Kelnaka, and Soul. And we see that
You don't know if it's Soul, right?
we're just,
Osha
we're
mentions
just
it.
pre. I think we're just
called it out.
presuming it.
OSHA called it for it.
Osha said it, but like,
I
yeah,
think OSHA that said these are the 4 Jedi, and Soul, you're a target.
yeah. But I
Like,
guess it's just because he was on Brendark. But I mean, technically, we don't know
yeah,
that Soul's the fourth. At least that's what stood out to me when I watched it the first time, and it still stands out this time that it's not necessarily clear. Like, again, to go back to the first episode, like, don't always believe your eyes. I'm paraphrasing what Soul says, but like, your eyes can, like, maybe that's something. I don't know. We should know. I know we've mentioned that me and Mike have already watched this, and Tom hasn't. So this is, but we are actually recording these. The final episode hasn't come out yet, so me and Mike actually don't know how the series ends as of recording this. It comes out tomorrow, and then after, so future episodes, we will know how the season or series. I don't know. I'm hoping it gets more seasons. I mean, I do really like it.
From what
Well,
I heard, rumored there would be like maybe a second season, maybe a third, if possible.
yeah, it would be great. And again, we don't have to keep harping on the negative reviews that were review bombed and stuff. But we've talked about that. But I think it's a great show. I think it's really cool to see something else in the Star Wars universe that touches on the Sith and or maybe, well, I'm gonna say the Sith, especially because now we get a quote. And I'll actually read my quote. Uh Kimar, I'm gonna keep saying that wrong, and Osha and May are talking, and they say the Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace, and peace is a lie, which I think is a direct reference to the Sith Code, which I believe we first learn about canonically in the Knights of the Old Republic video game, is where we first learn about the code.
It's
Which is pretty cool.
keep dive into something. I forgot that was there. I completely forgot I have this.
There you go. Book of the Sith.
And I mean, it's actually, this is very detailed. Boys, I know I'm gonna read this when I go to bed tonight. But there is a thing where just like pieces of lie, through the force my chains are broken, or I'm just giving you little bits of what think I remember. I could be wrong, but still there, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. One of the lines of the code is peace is a lie, there's only passion.
Yeah. Through
Well,
passion I gain strength. Through strength I gain
Yeah. I mean, I just know it from the Knights of the Old Republic game because you had to
when you go through
answer those to the weird robot thing to get whatever. I can't even remember, but so that was but again, with that being uttered, it's making me think, like, though it hasn't been confirmed, that this is May's master, who we see at the end. Well, I guess we assume that's her master that we see at the end of episode 1 is a Sith. I mean, that's at least my thoughts. I don't know if he's actually a Sith, or she, I guess, because it's just somebody wearing a helmet. Sounded like a guy, at least. I don't know. So we'll see if
I
they
think
ever.
the term we can use right now is a dark disciple. I mean, the title is Acolyte, but I mean, you see him with the red lightsaber. Do we know he's Sith? Maybe, we've seen the sequels with the Knights of Ren and stuff like that. Like, always like the idea of using the word dark disciple.
Okay, yeah, not bad. We do get a reveal that Osha has a tattoo on her right arm, which I think is probably not a throwaway, and was shown to us to be relevant, right? Because now both sisters technically have tattoos. Osha has one on her arm, and then in the first episode, when Andara kind of moved her hair aside, it looked like May has some sort of marking on her forehead. So I think it's just like could be foreshadowing as a way to tell them apart. And then I'm talking a lot, but and then I will point out, because this is interesting, because Tom, in the beginning you said we're watching these to take a break from Clone Wars, but we're also technically going back because the idea of this whole video cast was to watch chronologically, and they dropped the Acolyte while we started, after we had started, and that technically is.
Oh, buddy, we were way already in deep, but I think we've already gone through Phantom Menace, we've gone through Tales of the Jedi, we've gone to Attack of the Clones, and we've gotten through I don't know how many episodes of Clone Wars, which which we're gonna enjoy,
But so the reason I wanted to bring that up is another quote is Yord says, "I have a bad feeling about this," which officially makes it that Yord, this little kind of, I don't know, annoying Jedi who he's a little by the book, I guess.
dude, he's trigger happy with that lightsaber. Like,
trigger happy, but also by the book. He's complaining about everything. He now gets the credit as being the first person to chronologically utter the phrase, "I got a bad feeling about this." So he originally, the first person was in episode 1, Phantom Menace, Obi-Wan. But so now it's Yord takes the gauntlet of being the first person to utter it.
So we got George, we got Obi-Wan, then we got Anakin in episode 2.
Yep. I mean, I got the whole list. I don't think you want me to read the whole list, do you? I'll go quick. Battle droid next. Cody or Rex. We couldn't really figure it out. Anakin, Rex, C-3PO, Jedi Knight, Natter, Veb, C-3PO again, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Palpatine, Anakin, and then Ahsoka. So those are the people that have uttered it so far.
Got the lead. At least he's the master at saying I have a bad feeling about this. So.
Yeah. But it was fun to see it in this, and it lives on in more Star Wars stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we ever seen this before, but the fact that the Jedi had a stun gun.
Yeah, that was interesting, and they really leaned into the fact that, like, because Yord's like, you can't give that to a civilian, and um Saul was like, oh, she was trained to be a Jedi, she knows how to use it, like, so
Yeah.
it really is like a Jedi stun gun. It's something that they're like trained to use,
Hmm.
which I thought was interesting because that I'm not sure why that goes away. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't see that
peaceful
again.
time, I guess. I mean, they gotta do something somehow without using the lightsaber, because I think to May's point, it's like, well, you're only gonna pull a lightsaber if you intend to kill someone. So I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, it's a different time during the High Republic era, and yeah, I guess they
And
didn't have
honestly,
didn't have like the Clone Wars or some galactic battle. So yeah, I mean, different times, but yeah, it was a little shocking to see that the Jedi would have a stun gun at the ready, and um,
was it shocking or stunning?
about stunning.
no,
Uh,
but also now you got me thinking. I'm like, talking about May. Watch, and these are my actual reactions. These are the first episodes I'm watching. Yeah, like we said, you guys seen it? I haven't. Back to back episodes, they said she just goes attack with all your force. I'm thinking psychologically, mentally, or some whatever you want to call it. I'm like, is she trying to prove something, or in her mind, is she trying to justify that killing them was because they attacked first? Because
Yeah, I mean, I like what you're saying, and I think in the first one, right, when she goes to attack to fight Indira, she says attack first, and Indira says Jedi don't attack, like, don't attack first unless attack, and she says we both know that's a lie. So, like, I think you're definitely onto something, like, and we learn, right, for some reason it seems like the master, well, I guess he mentioned it at the end of the first episode, like the goal is for May to kill a Jedi without using a weapon, and that would then make her the acolyte, I guess, or a acolyte. Um, and then we learn that the poison is cheating, and her and she reminds
I'm here not to say anything.
Kymir. She reminds Kymir, like, hey, don't say anything. It'll be bad for both of us. So again, they're both fearful of the master. And then during the fight between Osha and I keep saying between May and Soul, we learn Soul does a little mind reading thing, I guess, and he learns that
well, whole bodied her. Like he was just like not even breaking a sweat.
Yeah, I mean, that was some pretty impressive martial arts there, and Soul was not phased, and I think we see like I think twice that May is trying to reach for Soul's lightsaber. So like
hmm
trying to kill a Jedi without a weapon, I mean, not kind of defeats the purpose, but I guess I don't know, just like a trophy or something. But yeah, she did make two attempts, and like that part when he just like swings around behind her and just like nice try, and then somehow disarms her during this entire fight, like gets all her or all but one of her knives, and just yeah, I got him right here.
Yeah.
That
Also,
was
I'm thinking about the two masters and the way they died. I mean, with Torben and what was the
Yeah.
other one? Yeah,
Indira.
yeah. She died because of her compassion to protect others. Because she's willing to sacrifice her life to save an innocent life, which is like a heroic thing. Torben, on the other hand, wanted to take the easy way out. Like he can't live with the guilt. It is completely. So I think maybe I don't know. This is just me. It's like maybe if the four Jedi Masters who were there end up dying, are they all going to die for different reasons? Like what I'm saying. Like one died selflessly, one died because of guilt, one died of maybe their uh uh blindness for aggression or things like that. Like there may be different rhymes or reasons of why they may get killed.
Good thing to look into or to pay attention for. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think it's clear that Torben obviously feels tremendous amount of guilt. I mean, enough that one, he wakes up out of this Barash vow, sees interestingly enough, May, and who everyone thought was dead, but immediately says, calls her May and says, "I've been waiting for you," and then kills himself when given the option, like, confess your crimes to Coruscant or to the Jedi Council, or take this and you'll be forgiven. And he takes that. So I mean, I think it's fair to assume that the Barash vow had something, like, doing that had maybe something to do with guilt, that he decided that he was gonna just sit there in a force field meditating quietly. I'm assuming right, they said it's been 10 years or whatever. So something made him do that. And maybe we'll learn more, maybe we won't.
Never happened. I mean, he did say he thought or they thought they did the right thing at the time. So
Yeah.
again, there's more to the story with this.
I do want to point out and give some major props now that it's very clear that well, it doesn't matter either way, but that Osha and May are, two different characters. The actress, Amandla Stenberg, I think she's fantastic. I think I don't know about you guys, but I think she's doing a great job playing two different characters. I feel like you really get a different vibe from May than you do from Osha. Like, they do really seem like two different characters,
I
which I
mean, it's
thought,
very good acting. I'll give you that
yeah,
because it's like you're just one person and you're playing two different entirely people. You gotta give this whole two-faced Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde performance, which I mean, I have no hate against it. Like I'm okay. I think it's pretty good. I think like maybe for her character for Osha, when we keep watching these and it gets a little bit more intense, maybe then I think it could just level up. Be more enjoyable.
yeah, I'm enjoying that. And I do also want to point out, just the nerdy filmy guy in me. You might recognize, maybe not, the actress from the first Hunger Games film, because she's Rue from the Hunger Games. I don't know if you guys have seen the Hunger Games movies.
It has been
Uh,
a hot minute since I've seen the
so
Hunger.
Rue was the girl from, I don't have this memorized, District, one of the other districts, who, like, becomes an ally with Katniss Everdeen, and then um, she she ends up dying, unfortunately. Um, but it's like a very she did it, I don't she's a big part of the first book, I guess, and then first movie. I don't know, but she's a very young girl in that, and now she's in this, which is kind of cool and fun to see.
There's
Uh,
also one more I'm going to call out too, Master Torben. So Game of Thrones fans, I don't know if you know this, but Master Torben is played by the same guy who played Tommen Baratheon.
oh yeah, I didn't catch that. I did think it was really weird that it seems like a very young child is playing this character with a fake beard and,
Yeah.
like,
The
scarred
headline
makeup.
of a 45-year-old.
Yeah, I was like, it still looks very young.
Mhm.
But uh that's right. He is that he's the
Yeah.
somehow the less worse Joffrey, I guess.
The less worse Joffrey, and spoiler alert,
Yeah, I just
he
realized
took his own life, and he
this guy this guy keeps getting typecasted as someone who kills himself.
So
That's rough.
just put him at two right now. Maybe if he gets in more and still gets killed, he can start getting in that conversation with Sean Bean.
Yeah. Sean Beanham always dies. This poor kid always kills himself. Um No, but a fun episode.
Mhm.
Uh, the again, I really like this, like the new characters that we got in this one. Obviously, Kanaka, just seeing the Jedi Wookiee, and then Chimere being a character that it reminds me of, like, it's like a drunken fool kind of archetype character, which is fun. You see it in other films and other storytelling. He almost reminds me of Tom, like you said, oh, he's just there to survive. Kind of reminds me of the guy from The Mummy.
Oh my God. No, 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 no. Don't tell
Right?
me that, because I was thinking about Betty from The Mummy too.
Yeah, yeah, who's
When
just like,
he pulls
all
out,
of a sudden he's
pulls
just
out
like
all the
he's in it
changes,
for
all the,
money, and then he's like, I'm in it to survive. And yeah, he pulls out all the different things, and he's
by the
like,
time he speaks like Hebrew, the mummy's just like, I'll pay. Oh, he speaks language of the slaves. I
yeah,
give him gold. I'm like, I wanted to quote that. Like, I swear to God, you and me are always like
on the
mentally.
same
We're
page with
the-
our movies.
we're the-
Yeah, I mean and that's the vibe he gives me. Just this guy that you're right. He's just is like the second they come to interrogate him. Also, he has, which even seeing a second time, just an amazing line or little like dialogue in this one where Soul is questioning him and says, "Who is he?" and referring to the master that he mentioned about and he immediately goes, I thought he was with you, and just points at Yord behind him. And it
Who's on?
is,
It's like, yo,
it's
who's on first?
it's comedic gold. It's so good. It's so well delivered. It's just like Soul's like, what? No,
I'll
you're
say
the
this.
master you were talking about.
I'll say this with him. It's like when that whole interrogation scene started with him and Osha, I was like, all right, I think maybe he doesn't know. Like, all right, maybe he thinks it's May. Then I think deep down inside's like he's picked up like mannerisms where it's just like, well, I've dealt with May numerous times. She doesn't say hey. And then you see that little conversation, but like, you look so much like her. And
Yeah,
I'm
you're
up,
like,
he already sees it.
Mhm.
I will say, since we were talking about the actors, uh, again, not sure if either of you guys had seen it, but this fantastic show called The Good Place with um, Kristen Bell.
Oh yeah.
Uh, the whole premise is she dies and goes to the good place, but she's like, I'm a terrible person. I'm not supposed to be here. And the whole thing's like her trying to figure it out. That actor's there, and he's this guy from uh, Tampa Bay, Florida, who's obsessed with Blake Bortles, and he's always like Bortles. Uh, and it's just funny. He is a very good comedic actor. So it's just fun to, he gets a little comedy in this, being the drunk and and that, but it's fun to see him in something else. And I'd highly recommend The Good Place. It's Ted Ted Danson's in it too. It's a fantastic show. Um,
Yeah, I love.
anything else for this episode, guys?
I mean, I was just gonna say, I like how a Jedi temple in Coruscant is completely different from a Jedi temple in whatever planet we were on,
Olega.
Olega, because that looked more like an outpost. Outpost.
Mhm.
Because you even see that little arrogant Padawan just holding that poor little kid, just but like, I found this little rat at the entry point, and then you see him with the binoculars just out on the deck, and I'm like, yo, it's not a Jedi temple, it's an outpost.
Just different temples everywhere. I mean, that's kind of cool, right? We never really got to see that um in all the other stuff. There's a really just we've seen some like old Jedi temples or ruined ones, but it's cool to kind of see this final, like, oh yeah, there's Jedi temples everywhere.
Mhm.
It's fun. Can't wait for next week.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say one more thing too. It's interesting to see like the tone of Master Vanestra because like initially she's like, yeah, go investigate what's going on, and then they've got another lead, like, oh hey, we know who May's targeting. It's like, no, we need to form a council, we need to talk this out, and yeah, I think we're getting a little hint of the politics going on, and also just the way the Jedi are acting like the police in this one with stun gun, Soul letting off Chimera with a warning if he cooperated. So
Yeah.
very, very interesting dynamic going on here, and let's see what happens with next week.
That's it. All right, Mike. Take
All
it
right.
away.
That's a wrap. Thank you, everyone, for joining Three Simple Men making their way through the galaxy. Hit that like, comment, subscribe, and come back next week for some more Acolyte content. May the force be with you, always.